Happy Tuesday. How are we all doing today? Today I want to talk about our inner critic or our inner dialogue. This is a little bit different than a few weeks ago when we talked about the story that we tell ourselves. Because sometimes the information is the same, but the way we relate to it can be different. So for me, I feel like a story is something bigger, something more robust, something deeper, something with more parts, like a story would be if you were reading a story. But there's more to this than that. It can be as simple as a sentence, as a phrase, as an inner critic, as an inner dialogue. So I want us to get very curious with this, and I want us to get very intentional with this. Because what happens is when it's our voice talking to us, it's so common, it's so familiar that we don't even realize that it's happening. And if it's telling us negative things or it's reinforcing negative things, we continue down that path of negativity. And we don't even realize it. And sometimes we pick these things up from something that is said to us. So it could be something that wasn't even meant to be a put down or meant to be something negative, but we take it that way. I find myself doing this, and I have to be very diligent about catching it. And it'll come from my loved ones, right? It'll come from my husband, it'll come from my kids, it'll come from my friends. They don't mean to say things that are putting me down, that are trying to make me feel bad or make me, think that I'm not doing enough, that I'm not good enough. But yet that's how I'll take it sometimes. And I have to really stop and get curious about it. And when I ask myself the question, do I really think that that's how that person meant that? That they meant for me to take it this way, for me to be feeling this way right now? Almost always the answer is no. No, they either didn't even realize what they said, they had no meaning behind it at all. Like sometimes we just say things in passing. Either thoughts roll out of our mouth, or we're in the middle of something else and we say a fragmented sentence. And so we don't even get to the whole point. And so what we get out can be interpreted negatively. And so we have to be very diligent with this because we pick those things up throughout the day. And the reason we do that is because of the way our brains are created. So when we understand that, we know nothing has gone wrong. There's nothing wrong with us. This is how our brain works. Thank you, brain. And I'm gonna be intentional and I'm gonna think something different. So I always say the very first step is awareness, understanding all of these dynamics, right? And if it's not the story that you tell yourself, it's your inner dialogue, it's your self-talk, it's your inner critic, whatever terminology that you can relate to, that you're like, oh, I know exactly what she's talking about. That's what I want you to connect with, because that's what matters. It's all the same, right? It's what we're saying to ourselves subconsciously, without being intentional, without even realizing it. And when our brain is in that negative rut and all the thoughts are negative and we're telling ourselves these negative things, our brain is very efficient. That's why it doesn't like change. So if it's used to being negative, positive things are going to feel different and new and like they're going to take more energy, and our brain will actually resist that. But the other thing that happens is our brain goes to work to find evidence to prove our thoughts true. So if we're thinking negative things, our brain is going to find all the negative things, and it's going to put negative spins on anything that might be neutral or not negative, and it's going to pony up that evidence to support what you're already thinking. It just is the most efficient thing for it to do. So the intentional part of this, for one, we have to build awareness and actually realize and understand and get curious with what we're thinking, what we're saying to ourselves, what the sentences are, the self-talk, the inner dialogue, the inner critic, whatever that is for you, the story that you tell yourself. We have to get a handle on that. But that is just the stuff that's on autopilot. The intentional part of this is where we decide what we want that to be. And it doesn't have to be always rainbows and daisies and butterflies and positive Polly, but we don't want it to always be negative, because that's a terrible place to live. And even I find myself doing this, right? Like, I know the tools, I understand how my brain works, and yet it'll just revert right into the gutter, into the negativity every single time. And very frustrating that this is ongoing work. This isn't, I do this and I'm fixed and I never have to worry about it again. It's ongoing work, right? Because this is how our brain is created. It's how it's designed, it's how it functions, and that's not going to change. But what we can change is our intentions. And so when we start our day, or we start feeding our brain positive thoughts or neutral thoughts, whatever feels most genuine and aligned with you, pick that. And I'm going to challenge you to something very specific, because if you're like me, you consume a lot of different information about having a great life and improving my life and doing better in life and all of the things. I'm always consuming lots of wonderful content. But unless I have step-by-step instructions that I can follow and implement immediately in the library of content, the information goes, I have to have something structured to implement. So my challenge to you is to take a habit, and I'm going to pick for you when you brush your teeth. What if you had written down on a sticky note, on a note card, or in the notes on your phone, or you had it recorded, or it's on your mirror, whatever way to trigger you, sit it right with your toothbrush. When you brush your teeth, you're reading that, which means you're telling yourself that positive or neutral thought. This can be the underlying thing that you want to reinforce so that your brain goes out to find evidence for it. So one of my colleague coaches used this with the phrase, "There are miracles everywhere." That's what she told herself every single day. And you know what her brain did? Her brain did what her brain does. It showed her miracles everywhere. And they might have just been the tiniest examples of miracles. But the word miracle in and of itself is pretty amazing. So if it's already an amazing thing to find a miracle, and it's just a tiny miracle, it's still this gigantic, amazing thing, right? So your brain will go out and show you the miracles every day in your life. The tulips coming up this spring, the snow that dumped a lot of moisture onto our very dry soil. Miracles everywhere. And this is something that really, I would say it's a positive thought or a positive concept, but it's also fairly neutral, right? Because it's not specific to me. I mean, I'm gonna be the one witnessing them, right? Like, so if I'm thinking there are miracles everywhere, that can be somewhat of a generalized statement. But what it's gonna do for me is show me those every day. How amazing is that? So you pick something for you that can be that simple, that can be that short. It can be a phrase, a full sentence, something that you want to see evidence of every single day. My life is amazing. Jesus loves me. I love my life. Anything like that, your brain will show you evidence to prove that true. If that is the background noise, the background self-talk, the background dialogue, I love my life. Imagine all the things that you're going to see in a day that prove to you that you love your life. I am the luckiest woman on the planet. All the ways that you are the luckiest woman on the planet, the luckiest person, the luckiest man, whatever it is. Imagine how different your life could be. And understand that this work is, like I said, it's not just one and done. Like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get this new thought in there, and it's going to change my whole life. It absolutely will change your life. But you can't go complacent on it then after that. And hopefully you won't want to, right? Like, say you do this one statement for 30 days, and then the next 30 days you decide to change it to something different. You want to go find this thing in your life. You want to go find this thing in your life. Whatever it is, you get to change it. You get to decide. But you have to stay intentional about it. You have to continue the practice. Because if you don't, your brain will show you the negative, because that's what it's designed to do. And when I tell you that it likes to be efficient, so it's going to pony up similar things or common things, and if that common and familiar is positive, you're going to see more of that. But the side where it leans towards the negative goes back to our motivational triad, back to our caveman days, where anything negative was associated with danger. So that's why it has that negative lean. So when you understand that even though I'm going to practice this, and after 30 days, I'm going to have seen 30 miracles in my life, I'm going to find 30 ways that I love my life, I'm going to see all of these amazing things. If I stop that practice and I'm not intentional, my brain is going to lean towards the negative, because it's designed to do that. It's designed to keep us safe. Find the danger. This could be dangerous. And it interprets negative emotion as danger. So anything that brings up any uncomfortable feelings, danger, avoid, abort. That's what your brain's going to tell you. And if there's anything that could be interpreted as negative, it's going to lean that way, because it's just trying to protect you. Just to be safe, we better make sure this might be danger. Your spouse is trying to harm you. Your kids are trying to harm you. Your friends are trying to harm you. You better just be, take it negative and protect yourself. So understand that. That's what our brains are designed to do. Nothing has gone wrong, and there's nothing wrong with you. I promise you, this is how every brain works. This is how my brain works. God love it. It is a constant, intentional process to redirect our brain to the positive all the time. So understand all of that. Have compassion for yourself and decide and be intentional every day. So here was my challenge for you today. Find the thing. If you can find the thing that maybe the sentence, the inner dialogue, the self-talk, if you can find that, get a handle on it, get curious about it, where it's coming from. But even if you don't do that step, and you just decide to, okay, I don't know what I've been telling myself, I can't find that in there, but I don't care. I'm gonna start being intentional about a positive thought every day. So grab a note card, grab a piece of paper, a sticky note, put it on your mirror, put it on your bathroom sink, put it with your toothbrush, and every day when you brush your teeth, you're going to read that. So if it's that short sentence, like there's miracles everywhere, how many times can I read that through my mind? There's miracles everywhere while I'm brushing my teeth. So, on the dentist recommendation, you're brushing for 4 minutes. Maybe if you're in a hurry, it's somewhere between 1 to 2 minutes. And you read that, and it took me, I don't know how many seconds to say that. Not very many. So you imagine how many times you're going to even read that one time that you brush your teeth. And every day you're going to do that. It is going to solidify that thought in your mind, and your brain will go out and be like, okay, let's go find the evidence today. It will take you up on your offer. I promise you. It's just how it's designed. Now, does that mean you'll never have a negative thought? No, that's not what it means. Does it mean that you'll interpret everything with rose-colored glasses and you'll become positive Polly? Nope, it doesn't mean that either. If it was that easy, but it's simply not. So we have to be intentional, and we have to be intentional every day, and you will feel and see the changes. It's not going to upend your life. It's not going to be the be all end all, but it will change your life. So I'm going to do this with you, and I'm going to set a reminder. So I check back with you in 30 days, which is going to be 4 more Tuesday Talks with Twyla. And we're going to see how you're doing. And in the meantime, let me know. I would love to hear your takeaways. I'd love to hear the first time you notice that you're finding some evidence to support your positive thought or your positive sentence. That will be so amazing for me, because I'm going to do this too, and I'm going to try to keep notes and put in my journal so that I can bring back to you the first time I noticed it, the 10th time I noticed it, and how different my life is as I transitioned through this process. So with that, I hope you have an amazing Tuesday. I will see you next week. Keep practicing your positive thought. Have a great day.